Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you today. I am glad to have you. I hope the Lord has kept you well. I hope you are very well. Yes, my name is Jonan Kandwanaho, and I'm the team leader at Jonaki Holdings Limited. And at Jonaki Holdings Limited, we offer financial relief. We offer credit. So you can always check us out at www.jonakiholdings.com, and we shall be able to bridge finance you. That where other institutions, where other banks or microfinance institutions say, come after a week, come after a month, for us, we serve you instantly, and you get to finish that deal, to finance that business in a very quick and a short time. So today we yet have an interesting topic, and you see, I would like to remind us that you can always check out these talks on my YouTube channel, Jonan Kandwanaho. You can subscribe, it's free of charge. Comment or like. If there's any topic that you would want me to talk about, especially in the area of money lending, I still can talk about it. Because we have different challenges in different areas. So if you pick your area of interest or where you're facing challenges, then I get to speak about it. Yes, so it's a pleasure to have you today, and I'll go right at it. So today we have quite an interesting topic because we are starting the year, yet 2023, and I pray and hope that we start it in style and we also grow, because I don't believe in stagnancy. I don't believe in being static. So meaning that if you're not growing, then you must be declining or dying. If your business is not growing, it cannot keep constant. It either has to be growing or it will have to be declining or dying. So it's upon you to choose whether to actually grow it or let it die, because when it is dying, you can't even know. So that informs today's topic. That's why I've come to speak to you of the key areas that may need to focus on. The key areas that may need to focus on if you're doing money lending for this 2023. And I know that if you priority to have a limit for lending, because let me tell you, colleagues, if the banks have the limit for lending, for Christ's sake, if a bank has a limit for lending, a bank that has stood the test of time, a bank that has perhaps existed for the last maybe 30 or 40 or 100 years, why on earth would you think that you can actually lend up to any limit? So if you don't put a limit in the year 2023, you do not know, but you might most likely get out of business, because you can only serve enough customers and you can only lend enough money. So you have to have a limit. And what I usually advise that you should lend maximum of 20% of your loan portfolio, maximum, to one individual. Because look, if you have only one individual or two individuals who have your money, in case something happened, that means if one individual gets a shock in business or gets a challenge, you're most likely going to remain with half the capital that you started with. Like you've almost lost business worth half the worth of your business, worth of your entity, half. So if the second client gets a challenge, you're out of business. That's why it's important that you do not pile all your capital to one client. It is very, very risky. And this applies to any business. You cannot afford to have one bulk client as the only client, or a few bulk clients, maybe 2 or 3, because once they get out of business, you get out of business. Or once one client gets out of business, you're most likely going to lose over 40 or 50% of your business, and it's not healthy. But even if you wanted to get out of that business and try something else or do something else or go chill, one of the key determinants of the value that they will assess your business is the number of customers that you're serving. Meaning that if your business is hinged on one client, definitely it will pose it a huge risk, meaning that the offer that you'd have got from the person who is buying your business will actually be minimal, because look, he will assess it and know that if I am serving Hope only, if Hope runs away with money, or with or no longer wants to give me business because probably I didn't satisfy her demand, or I didn't meet her requirements, or I no longer serve her the way I used to serve her, definitely you'll get out of business. And that poses a huge risk on your business. And that's why I usually advise the guys that I mentor that build your business as if you're going to sell it. And I learned that from a book called Build to Sell. So make time and read that book. It will help you a lot. You build your business as if you're going to sell it tomorrow, as if you're going to sell it after 1 year, as if you're going to sell it after 5 years. So in a way, you shall have to tie a few knots, because you know you're building this business. If you don't have a thought of selling it, but it's an important thought to have it at the back of your mind, that look, if you wanted to sell this business that I built for maybe 10 years or 5 years, how much can I get from it? If I'm building this business, can I sell it the amount of money that I put in, including the time, including the brand, including the commitment, the emotional attachment? Can I sell it the amount of money that I would like to get from it? So you need to build your business as if you're going to sell it, and it will help a lot. So if you're building a business to sell, you need to put a limit. If you're lending money, you need to put a limit to say, you know what, I am lending up to 50 million. Beyond that, I cannot serve you. That thing will help you a lot. We clashed before we met our mentor. We didn't have a limit. We didn't have a limit. So whoever would come would lend, and we almost closed shop, because you do not know when the client will default, because you do not know whether that client is legit or not. See, if something goes hayway and the guy goes a litigation, he says he refuses, adamantly refuses to pay, and you have to go to court, you run out of business. So put a limit. In this year 2023, put a limit on the amount of money that you're lending out. If you have capital of 1 million, 20% of that loan portfolio is 200,000. Do not give to one individual client more than 200,000. If you have 100 million, 20% of your loan portfolio is 2 million. You cannot afford, actually 20 million. So you can actually not afford to have one client take more than 20 million of your 100 million that you have as capital. So maximum you should give out is 20% of your loan portfolio to only one individual at any one moment of a transaction. Point number 2, it is important that whereas you lend, you have to be collecting. Or else, even if you have a loan, or you can access money as and when, time will come when that source will dry out. So it's important that if you lend money, you have a way, you have a modality of payback. You have a modality of collecting from the clients. That the energies that you put in to get the clients should be the very energies. Actually, science has it that the efforts should be directly proportional. The efforts that you put in to lend should be directly proportional to the efforts that you put in to collect the money. Because this money is meant to circulate. It's not meant to be stagnant. That's why it's called currency. It is a currency. It's like electricity. If electricity does not flow, then it's not there. If currency does not flow, then it cannot bring more currency. It cannot bring more money. So it has to flow. Meaning that as you lend it out, then it has to come back. And that also determines the business, or the business, how busy your account is. And do you ever ask yourself why, when you go to get a loan in a bank or any financial institution, even at John Key, we actually assess how busy your account is? Because look, our interest is not the money being there stagnant. But you see, I have 100 million and it's stagnant on my account. Our interest is what inflows do you have and what outflows do you have. That is currency. Then we can know that, you know what, that this person or this client who wants money can actually ably use money. The money can ably move out and it can ably come back. And that determines how busy your statement is, which ultimately determines whether we can actually give you a facility or not. So it's important that as you dish out money in form of loans, it is important that you know how to collect it. So when we were starting, we used to collect only interest, interest only. That if we gave you 1 million shillings at let's say 10%, you'd only pay 100,000. And you know, it took us a while. There are things that took us 5 years or 3 years from now. It took us 5 years or 3 years from the time we started to learn. You're lucky that you're watching this video, because now you're learning them, and you're learning them free of charge. The only challenge is that something that you learn free of charge, you tend to take it for granted. Why? Because you have not paid for it. That's why I charge my meetings. That's why I charge my mentees, the guys that I mentor, that I walk at the journey of this money lending with. Why? Because something that you get free of charge, you tend to take it for granted. And something that you pay for, you tend to value it. And that's why actually my mentor charges me. Why? Because he knows that if he charges me, not because he wants much of my money, but because if I pay for something, I'll value it. Do you ever ask yourself why we value our qualifications, our degrees or diplomas or qualifications that we pay for with tuition? Take an example. If your parents are paying for you, some children do not value the tuition that they pay for them. And that's why they end up in drugs and all that. But do you know the cost that you pay for yourself? Do you ever realize how serious you take it? That even if they don't call you to go and attend classes, that even if they don't penalize you for missing classes, you actually have to self-discipline yourself to actually go and attend those classes without any energy or any effort. Why? Because you paid for it and you value it. So that's why I'm telling you that some of these things I'm telling you, I took 5 years to learn them. It took me a mentor whom I paid to learn them. But just because you're taking them free of charge, you're getting them free of charge, you'll take them for granted. And lo and behold, you might not progress, or you might not grow. Yes, you may grow, but not at the rate at which you are meant to grow. You could be growing at 2%. That can be registered as growth. You could grow at as less as 0.1%. But yet you have a potential of growing at maybe 90% or 80%. So that's a whole chapter altogether. So it's important that this thing that I'm telling you, you actually take it serious. So back to the point, as you dish out the money, it's important that you actually get to collect it. Don't be like us when we had not learned the thing. We used to collect interest only. And then time comes and the client says, you know what, you guy, I've given you enough money. I took this loan for 8 months or 10 months, and I've been paying you on the 10 million that you gave me, I've been paying you 100,000 or 1 million shillings per month. Now I've almost paid all the principal. And before you know it, you're back to litigation, you're back and forth, you're clashing with the client. Why? Because you've been charging them interest only. That even if they have been paying, they cannot see a reduction in the principal. So it's important, that's when we came to realize that it's important that as you lend out money, when you're doing the collections, you collect on both interest and the principal. Then the client will also be seeing some bit of progress, because he will know that whereas I'm paying 1 million shillings, the 500 or the 300 is reducing on the principal, and the 700 is reducing on the interest. See the point? So it is key that as you're doing the collections, the payback should be both on principal and interest. That's when the client will register progress, and that's when you will also register progress. Point number 3, you see the option that you have, or the opportunity that you have, is that I'm soon launching a mastermind for the year 2023. Of course, I run a number of them in a year, but the very first one for 2023 is rolling out very soon, so you can get to sign up. Of course, I charge, and then you can actually break down these things at length and discuss them, and then I guide you on how to actually move forward. So in case you might not get all the details from these videos, but you'll get pointers. So if you want details, you can sign up for the masterminds, and then you can actually chat them all. Point number 3 is marketing. Marketing. So you could have 2 challenges. One could be that you have a lot of money and you don't have enough clientele to take the money. The other challenge, which is also a good challenge, isn't it? That you have money and you can't give it out. Challenge number 2 could be that you do not have money, but you have the clients. So I give you a solution which is covered under marketing. So for marketing, is that if you have the first challenge of having a lot of money and you don't know how to give it out, you need to start planning for marketing. And the key thing for marketing is using word of mouth. Guys, things of money bank on trust. If a client has to trust you before he can actually come for a facility, whichever challenge that they have, whichever problem they have, whichever deal that they want to close, he will first trust you before trusting your company, before trusting your business. So you need to build trust. You need to build trust. And the only thing that is very key in building trust is capitalizing on referrals. Capitalizing on referrals. You need to capitalize on your referral system through word of mouth. That's why you have to trade very, very carefully. That's why you have to clash with as minimal clients as possible. That's why you don't even have to clash with clients. That's why it's important that you assess your clients well. Because that's what we do at Jonah Q Holdings Limited. We do not, just because you have a collateral of 500 million, if your financials are not good, we shall not give you money. Why? Because our interest is for you to be able to pay back. Our interest is not for us to foreclose on your collateral, but rather for you to be able to pay back. So you should be able to actually pay back. So we not look at your collateral or selling off your car or selling off your land, but you being able to pay back. So it's important that as you're serving your clients, as you're marketing, you capitalize on the clients that you already have, because they're the best marketers that you have at hand. So if you don't serve them well, if you don't handle them well, you keep with that money on the account and it will not be given out. And if you got a facility, a cheaper facility or a cheaper loan from the bank, you'll be paying interest and yet you'll not be registering any interest at all. It's a big challenge. So if you have the other different challenge under marketing, that you have clientele but you don't have money to give them, you need to look for cheap money. You need to look for cheap money. Usually I advise you shouldn't get money, especially if you're lending at a lower rate, maybe 5% per month. Look at money that is not as expensive for more than 2%. If the money is more than 2%, it will eat on the difference that you would have got from business. So it's important that you look for cheap money. And the arrangement should be that you first assess the client. Don't get the money as a chunk and put it on your account, on your company account. No. First assess the client, get them credit ready, assess them properly, secure the collateral, and then look out for the monies. Don't do it the other way around. I hope you get that point. The final point as we get to close is customer care. Customer care. You need to care for your clients. You need to care for your clients, because it's only then that they can actually have the audacity to refer you to other clients. You see, care cuts across. Care could be as much as educating your clients about your product. Care could be as much as telling them of the costs that are involved, not hiding any cost. Care could be as much as telling them that, you know what, based on your finances, based on your bank statement, even if you have this car as a collateral, I cannot give you money, or I can only give you 10 million instead of the 30 million. Why? Because if I give you the 30 million that you need, you will not afford it. And before you know it, I'll foreclose on your land title. I'll foreclose on your car. And a client who is legit will love you for that. Unless he's a fraudster, unless he has bad intentions, but a client who is legit will love you for that. Why? Because you've educated them first before you give them money. And that's part of customer care. You see, customer care is not only sitting at the reception and sweet talking the clients. No. Customer care cuts a huge board. It's a whole topic altogether. I'll get to talk about it sometime, but it's a composition of a lot of things. We usually dive into this in our mastermind. So if you get to sign up for the masterminds, then you can actually talk them up. So I see our time is fast spent. Thank you guys for catching up for this talk. Thank you. And I pray that the Lord blesses you. I pray that the Lord opens your spiritual insights and spiritual antennas to get the understanding and the wisdom to grow that business, because you do not know what that business means to your staff that you employ. They could be having families, they could be having dependents, they could be having guys they're taking care of. So if it closes, you've almost closed a number of lives. You've closed a number of survivals for a number of people. So that's why I endeavor to come here to teach you, to work with you, so that you can grow and create as many employment opportunities as possible, so that you can support as many people as possible. Please, if you learn these things, go teach them. Don't sit on them. Go support someone. Just like I'm educating you, go and teach someone, go and guide someone. And then you'll have valued your time and valued my efforts as well, and my internet and my data and my energies. And before you know it, the Lord will grow you. because we are blessed to be a blessing. So I love you guys. Thank you for catching up with me. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your time and your data. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please refer a friend who can benefit of this knowledge and information. Always check us out at www.jonakiholdings.com. Thank you, and as I always say, see you at the top. At the top, there are a few people, so don't keep at the bottom, because there are a number of people down there. So get at the top, and then you shall meet there, and then get to support others to get at the top as well. I love you all. Have a blessed Friday and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Bye bye for now.